and, she's all bought in on honor, but she's struggling because she's maybe estranged from a family member that she's not going to see this holiday season or wishes she could. Talk her through that for yourself and your story.
Absolutely. Well, first, I just want to say, I see you and I'm sorry. And this is hard. And the holidays brings up a lot of different emotions and feelings. And, for me, I wish my relationship with my dad was different. He wasn't involved in my life as much as what I would have liked growing up and even now as an adult. And so when the holidays come around, while I am grateful for my own family and I'm grateful for, my mom and my stepdad and my siblings, I'm also holding in tension the relationship that I wish that I had, with my biological father. And it's okay, is what I want to say to you. Like, it's okay to hold those both in tension. I think sometimes we think, oh, I got to be super happy. There's, Christmas songs and we get to be together again because of the pandemic, and is so much to be grateful for, but don't skip over those feelings of your grief and your loss, maybe even anger or sadness that you may be feeling. It's okay to be walking through that while you're also celebrating and being grateful for what is. And I think that we don't grieve well, in the Western part of the world. We don't take the time to lament and to sit in those emotions that feel uncomfortable. And so, this has been a big part of a lot of the conversations that I've had with a lot of friends lately is it's okay to just sit with those emotions during this time. And if you need to take 5, meaning like get away from your family for a second, go out on the patio or the porch, or go get yourself a Starbucks coffee and then come back so that you can cry it out. That's okay, mama. Like, that's okay. The holidays are super weighty, and the God of comfort is going to meet you in those moments. But just know that you're not alone, but take the time that you need to feel those feelings and recognize that holding those two in tension, the amazing, great feelings and the sadness and the loss, is okay.
Have you ever had holidays with your biological dad, or is that something that you've recently given up?
Yeah, so it's always on a tail end of, I go and we stay with my mom and my stepdad. That's where I was raised, in that home. But it has always been a lot of, I feel like, pressure on me as a child to figure out, am I going to take my family over to his house? Is he going to come, over? Thankfully, everyone gets along, but, is he going to come over to my mom's house? And it's just always this tug of war that I feel like I have to play, where I want to try to make everyone happy.
Mm-hmm.
And as the child in this scenario, it has always been really, really hard. It doesn't matter how old I am. I still feel that little Rachel that is holding like this life over here and trying to make everyone get along, and how am I going to do this? And it's
Yeah.
stressful,
Yeah.
Heather. Like, it's stressful. I feel like it's a lot of pressure that's
Yeah.
put on me that I believe is unfair, for my parents not working out, and for, all of that, all of just us being human, and how there's brokenness in the world.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, every holiday I feel that. Every time that something good in my life happens, I feel that. How do I communicate? Who should I spend time with? I mean, it's just a theme in my life that is really hard. And so if you come from a home that, was broken up at some point, um, goodness, it's hard. It's super hard. And no matter how old you are, you still find yourself back in that little person, thinking about what could have been. But God, he's the mender. And even though that is still very present in me whenever it's around the holidays, he comforts me, and I find my way. I find my way, but
Yeah.
it's hard.
And I'm thinking back to the whole honor. It's hard when you're trying to treat them both special,
Yeah.
but it's clunky and it doesn't seamlessly come together. And like you said, you're the one holding that tension as
Yeah.
the child, which feels unfair. And I know that so many people listening are in a similar situation.
Hmm.
And you saying it's hard helps them know they're not doing something wrong if it is hard.
Right. Yeah. we tend to do this with ourselves. We think that we're the only one.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's why and we're not, but that's why it's so important for us to have, even if it's just one or two, but a few faithful friends and followers of Jesus that are going to say, hey, Heather, I see you in that emotion. Or, hey, Rach, like, I may not know what that's like, to have, a broken home and what that's like, but I want to sit with you in that. And I
Yeah.
think that this is a way that we can come close one another during the holidays. Reach out to your friends that have maybe lost a loved one and are going to be grieving over the holiday season, or that their family situation is tough. Be thinking about those people in your life where the holidays may not be all cheery, and figure out how you can come close to them and hold space if they need to, share with you or sit with you, or you need to pray with them. But that's one of the ways that we can honor one another over the holidays, is reaching out to our friends and loved ones that we know are going to be faced with a hard time or some conflicting feelings over the holidays.
It was really helpful for me. I have this life team of like 60-year-old men and a couple counselors. It's super helpful. It's a life team. But they just said, picture us behind you. Like as you're going in to whatever challenging interaction, family interaction. And remember, you're seen, you're loved, you're worthy. And when it's a hard moment, you just picture they're behind you and with you. And that moment of being seen by them around a circle. It's like, this is why being face to face with friends matters, because our place and belonging is in Christ. Our worth comes from God, but having other people see us and know we are loved means that we don't require it from those family members that aren't capable of giving it to us. And so if it happens, it's a blessing, but it's not a need. It removes the stress of the interaction with the family when we can be present with them, centered and loved by God and others. And so, if you can be that for someone that is headed into a challenging situation, just say, picture me, I'm there with you. You are loved, you're worthy, you're held. And really that visual helps me so much show people honor when I remember that. And any other tips you have for the mom holding that tension? Like, what has worked for you?
Yeah, I would say, and this has been a big struggle for me because I'm an Enneagram 2, and on the other side of that, the tough side is pride. And so pride, I used to only think of pride as, oh, well, I'm better than you. And that's not really how it typically shows up in people. It shows up like, oh, I need to just handle this on my own. It's just me and you, God. And, and so I would say to also remember that our part is that we need to invite others in. And so as we think about the holidays and we think about the hard and we think about getting around tables with our family and friends, go first and tell your friends, hey, Heather, I am going into the holidays with my family. It always brings up a lot of emotions for me. Could you walk with me and pray with me? And could you just keep me in mind as I go and travel to X place? I think that we often want to put all the weight of it on the people that are in our communities to show up for us. And that is important. But we all have a part to play. So it is our friends reaching out to us, but it's also us being honest with what we need, and also asking and inviting people in to these tough situations in life. And obviously this isn't just the holidays. This is everything.
Every day. It's just cranked up. This is just cranked up.
It's just cranked up. But this has been a big struggle for me, asking for help, allowing people in to pray for me. It does not mean that we are all weak in our own regard, of course, but it does not mean that they're going to look at us less than. They're not going to think that we're not a good mom or a wife or a ministry leader or whatever you do out in the world. But it is showing that we need one another and that none of us have it all together. Newsflash.
And don't you, to bring up the word again, I know we've said it probably 1,000 times in this episode, but I always tell people, thank you for sharing that with me, that I feel honored. I feel honored that you let me into that piece. I had that in a phone call this morning with the mom. We were talking about what our plans were, and she shared with me what's going to be hard about it. And I said, thank you. Because honestly, if I had seen where she's going and what she's doing, and I saw the highlight reel on Instagram, there may be
Right.
this little part of me that was just like comparing, contrasting. Oh, that looks amazing. And I'm not hearing all the backstory and the negative, which is appropriate that she doesn't post that. But when we
Yeah.
have these real conversations and we're saying the hard and we're asking for help, I'm
Hmm.
honored. I'm
Yes.
honored.
Yes. It's an honor to be able to hold space for other people's stories.
Yeah.
It's an honor to be able to have that bond, and as you know, sisters in Christ, like this
Yeah.
is what we are to do for one another. And so, yes, it is both, and it is going first and sharing and inviting people in, and it's also coming close to others, holding space for their stories, praying and encouraging them along the way.
So helpful. So when you're dealing with your parents,
Hmm.
you said you're the go-between.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, being the go-between is easier now because I'm an adult and because everybody is, to be honest, happy and healthy and remarried, and everyone has their lives. And we've been doing this since I was 2 years old. You know, my
Okay.
parents got divorced when I was very little. And so I'm grateful that there hasn't been any tension, on that side, but it's just still navigating different families
Yep.
that, everyone has moved on. Everyone has their family over here. And I'm the in between, right? Like when you have the children, that's what still has to bring you back together.
Yep.
Uh, so I've learned to navigate it really well, but I would have to say that, my parents are believers. And so that obviously helps as well. Like them knowing that, it's not just about them. There is love and honor and respect despite their marriage not working out.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for that. And I know that that's not everybody's story.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just sitting with anybody during the holidays right now that comes from a broken home and is having to navigate those waters.
But learning to navigate it well, that you just said it like breezy, like I've learned to navigate it well.
Uh,
But
yeah,
it was like okay, that worked, that didn't work.
sure. I
The
mean, I would say
mistakes along the way. But
yes, yeah, mistakes along the way. And I think, as a child, you can only do so much, right? But I think as an adult, you can begin to set up healthy boundaries and make decisions if you're married with your spouse on what that looks like. And that has taken more effort, more thought, and a lot more tears as I've gotten older and I have my own family. I think it actually got more complicated for me to navigate the different relationships and families when I had my own family, because it
yeah.
was not just about me anymore. And like, okay, well, I'm gonna wake up at my mom's house, and then at about this time I'm gonna go to my dad's. But now it's like I've got kids that are opening presents all day and are comfortable and have bedtimes, and so there's an even more of a weight when you have your own family and it's not just about you anymore. And so with every season, with every circumstance, that those decisions can become more complicated, and they can change, and they may need to be revised. And I think also being open to allowing God to help you navigate when the seasons change, and knowing that it's not all up to you. Like I
Yeah.
think that was huge for me. Is I had a lot of guilt and shame about, well, why isn't this easier for me to navigate? And I'm sure my dad wants me to be over there all day, but then my heart really wants me here with my mom. And then, I used to just put all this pressure, and my husband, actually, Justin, actually helped me with this. He's like, babe, this is not all of yours to carry.
Yeah.
Like this is not all of your weight to carry. I'm going to help you carry this, and we're going to find out what best works for our family.
Yeah.
And that's going to look different with small kids. As when they get a little bit older, it might look a little bit different. But to be open to how navigating these waters can change in every season, and that I don't have to go at it alone. I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, is I don't have to go at this alone, and I am not going to carry the guilt and shame any longer, and that I can love everyone, and I can also have loving boundaries in place and not feel bad about it, and do what's best for me and my family and be in a healthy spot. So it's there's no formula to it, Heather.
There's
There's
no
no.
formula, but what I hear you saying is you and your husband coming together saying what's important for our kids and our system and our
Yes.
traditions, and then setting lines around that space,
Yeah.
and then inviting and okay, this is what we have time for. And
Absolutely.
being clear in that communication, and sometimes when we carry that guilt and shame and we're trying to make everyone happy, we end up making no one happy because we're
Right.
sidestepping all the hard conversations. Where if you have that confidence and you're walking in unity with your own spouse, and you're just, because this can happen. Yes, you're talking about broken relationships, but it can also happen if it's the husband's parents versus your parents, and then
Absolutely.
you've got a whole thing. So
Yes.
I think, yes, that honesty of saying this has been a process to navigate. This is, having boundaries is important, being clear about them, but we can show honor in the midst of it and treat people special. All of that can be available. I think you,
Yes and amen.
well, I am so thankful for you. I'm thankful for all of us. If you all haven't checked it out, go check it out. We put links in the show notes. You're going to hear women's stories. There's going to be all kinds of new things coming soon, new
Yes.
ways to connect. Are you talking about that, or is that private?
Yeah, I can talk about it. Yeah.
Okay.
All of us is a place for you if you're listening. I mean, it's a place for everyday women. We tell in process stories of God's goodness and faithfulness. And we're talking about honor and holding space for people's stories today. And I love to do that over in my community. And so coming up in January 2022, we will start to do more Bible studies, and we're going to begin a Patreon club together. And it's just another way that we can get to know one another, and go deeper with the Lord and go deeper with one another. You know, we cannot do this life alone. And so when we are leaning into the Father and we are linking arms with sisters from all different places and spaces, I believe we have hope to see God's kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. So, yeah, join us.
Love it. We'll link to all of that. Appreciate you being here
Absolutely.
and sharing from your own story and encouragement to us. And have a fantastic Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you, Heather. Thank you for having me on today. Love to you.
Uh,